Hi guys, it's Adrienne with FE3 Integrated Fitness, and I am here today to bring a special guest on to share some pretty cool information. Kind of some information that you guys have heard from me that you think I'm cuckoo Cocoa Puffs over. Um, so this way you know I'm not crazy, I'm not insane, and how much further this whole thing can go. So Anthony, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Joe.
Good, good, good. So introduce yourself, tell us who you are and how awesome you are.
All right. So, hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Borsalino from the Montreal area in Quebec. Basically, I'm a naturopath and personal trainer. I've started this journey, it's about 9.5, 10 years now. I continuously just educate myself as much as I can. I've opened my own gym. It's 4 years now. We expanded, tried to help countless amount of athletes reaching their goals. So I started this journey simply because I was an athlete myself and never got to attain the results that I wanted, and I wanted to make it into the big leagues like every young man's dream. So I didn't get that chance, but then I thought, why not get that chance to bring a young athlete into that scenery. So that's where I started my journey as a personal trainer, and as a naturopath. It was more when seeing my grandfather in the hospital. Things kind of hit me, realized certain things. So I wanted to be that guy to help a client as much as I can. And I'm not the one to sit back and just watch a client do something. I try and help as much as I can. Again, if I'm training someone, I want to see why certain movements don't apply to them, or why they can't do certain movements. Or if it's with nutrition, I want to see why they're not absorbing their nutrients. And that's my background. Other than that, I mean, I opened my own health center. Again, it's 4 years, and what we have is integrative health practitioners, of course, osteopath, masotherapy, naturopathy, boot camp, private training. Everything that can fit under one roof without referring out is all in the center. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, I guess.
That's a lot right there. So I guess we can talk about, first off, what actually is naturopathology, what is osteopathology, because that's not a term that is used a whole lot here in the States,
Mm-hmm.
especially where I'm at. I think it's amazing, and I mean, that's almost like a gift in my opinion. So can you kind of explain a little bit on what that is more?
So I like to see naturopathy as, because everybody thinks naturopathy is like a dietitian or nutritionist or whatnot. Yes, we do work with diets, but it's more specific. We work with helping the client through any natural way possible, whether it's herbs, phytotherapy. So phytotherapy is basically infused herbs in liquid. It could be teas, it could be supplements, getting specific diets for the client, checking really what's going on within the body. Then from there, I mean, if we're answering osteopathy, I like to see it as, manipulating the body as a whole. Again, it's not just osteopathy, but even naturopathy. You're looking at the body as a whole, not just one specific symptom or one specific condition. So osteopathy, I like to see it as manipulating the body as a whole, and realigning the body, not just with the bones, but the visceral fascias, the bones, the organs at the same time. So that's how I see how that comes in, like natural ways of healing.
Yeah, and it's funny because we say natural as if we talk about it naturally because that's what we want it to be. And
Yeah.
it's interesting you brought up the organs because I do a lot of belly work, if you want to call it belly work, with clients, and kind of starting from the inside out is what I tell them if I put my hands on them. And I don't think that people really, I know in this area, massages, they don't even touch those places on people. Even when you get into some of the modalities that like eye stem or using some of the quote unquote gua sha tools that they use, they don't really get into that. And I think it's such an important piece of that missing. Like if you want to just expand on the visceral tissue, like how important that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we take gua sha, and you can even put cupping into that, it's very beneficial to release all the tissues, to release any adhesions, but you're bringing the blood to the surface so the blood could circulate again naturally, and the blood is able to get out to eliminate all the debris that's lingering in the body pretty much, or in that specific affected area. So yeah, I mean, I agree 100% that more techniques should be used pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, more technique. And I also think that where you're applying the technique.
Yeah, exactly.
How we had our discussion on the psoas, and how, okay, so now that's a muscle that we're talking about, a muscle that we're talking about, a psoas muscle that can contribute to hip pain, back pain, and like we had brought up emotional traumas attached to it. Is it in fight or flight? Why is it tonic? What's attached to it, supplement wise or nutritionally, that's making it respond that way. But if we take this down another path and say, okay, you can talk about an organ such as a kidney, you can talk about a liver, right? And all the tissue that's attached to that, and the fact that it's not moving because people don't even understand how to breathe correctly.
Oh, exactly.
Right? Because we know breathing is going to expand and extend all that, but it's going to do that so that everything moves around and you break that up. I mean, the phrenic nerve is attached to that as well. And all the signaling to the brain that's attached to that. The impingement that goes along with the nerves, as well as the organs themselves and all that tissue being locked up, and how that shows in neck pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain. I mean, that tissue, that visceral tissue or fascia, however you want to look at it, extends through the whole body.
Yeah.
So it goes back to that whole, stop looking at where it is, and it could be something else, especially, and I'm sure like earlier in your learnings, you have somebody that has that neck pain, that shoulder pain, that you're like, okay, I know I've gotten that tissue, and I know I've gotten the girdle, and I know I've released this muscle and this muscle and this muscle and this tissue and that line, that fascial line, but that still doesn't go away.
No.
It's that constant. So then it's time to look, and unfortunately, I think that either practitioners as well as maybe even people don't know how to even look in that area. And so they keep beating that same spot over and over and over and over again.
Well, I think it is that they're blinded by that spot too. They're not given, I'm trying to see how I could put this, but they're not given the broad spectrum of seeing the other light, seeing the other aspect of the natural healing, the natural ways. I mean, I could take Chinese medicine that's been around for 5,000 years. And when you look at traditional Chinese medicine, that's where we're starting to see how emotions play a big part for any of the organs. The links between, like you said, the liver, the fascia, with any further reasonings to help the client. So if we want to take the psoas, like we said before, and we were talking the psoas, which is the muscle of the hips, that is specifically related with the kidneys. And if we look at emotional aspects of the kidneys, that is your fear or doubt. So that in turn, I mean, if someone is always impinging in the hip area, yeah, it's nice to stretch it out. I mean, us as trainers, we know how to stretch it out with split squats or strengthen it. But if they're always in that fear, or even the fight or flight, like we said, which is our stress response, that's related with the kidneys, simply because the adrenal glands and the kidneys work hand in hand. But if they're always in that fight or flight, and they're subconsciously fearing, or even consciously fearing something, that could impinge the results to just get better or heal or get even stronger, for that matter.
Absolutely. And I think that that's something, it's, going down the emotional path of it, and dealing with the body on an emotional or even energetic, however word you want to use, that's difficult for people to understand. And then understanding, okay, you are in fight or flight, and you've been in fight or flight for this long. So now it's showing up. And as we know, it's going to show up in muscle tissue prior to showing up in blood work. It's going to show up in muscle tissue before it shows up on a test. I mean, actually, by the time it shows up in blood work or on a test, you're pretty much screwed,
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah. I mean, no, we can fix that. Stop it, Anthony. We can fix it. But it's definitely going to take a lot longer, because now it's really generating there. And people think of fight or flight as, maybe like you said, fear, but that goes so many layers in itself.
Yeah.
You know, what are you fearful of? And then in fight or flight, you know, like you said, adrenal gland as well. It's not just dealing with just the kidney, it's dealing with that whole system. It's dealing with the whys, you know, getting to the root problems of why you're having, like we said, why you're having the issue. But then if you realize it is an emotional thing and there is that flight or flight or that stress, and it's been there for a certain amount of time, getting back to the why, you know, because with our stressful lives nowadays, we have so much shit going on. And it's like, okay, why? Like, what was the initial thing? Like, how far down a path you have to take somebody at times?
Yeah.
I mean, it can actually go all the way to birth. It can go in the womb.
Yeah, even before that, if anything, we could even look at it as, and this will probably be a little abstract for some, but it especially for those that believe in it, but this can even go further than being in the mother's womb. It could be even a past life that we once lived. And I just say, because not everybody might believe in the past life, sure, that's fine. But I'm saying if for those that do, it could even be your ancestors. It could be passed down. I mean, I'm just going to touch on, 3 to 5% is our genetics, but certain aspects, emotional pathogens even, can be stemmed through our ancestral lives or our past lives. So yeah, you're right when you say, it starts with in the womb, pretty much.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a talk that was on TED Talks a while ago about the research that they had done on, why somebody responds a certain way to like an event or something that happened that everyone else is like, oh my God, it's not that bad. And maybe this person doesn't really even understand why. And it could go all the way down the lineage, if you will, or genetically to something that they may have been predisposed to in their heritage line, know. Like if you came from a village that was, let's say there's one aspect, okay, you guys are fighters. Okay, great. You may have a certain sense of loyalty that most people don't understand. You may have that warrior, aspect to you that people don't understand, which gives you a viewpoint or a feeling about something that others may not get. And it's the same as if they talk about the Cold War and how those kids still feel that how should I say, that lack of food, that starvation, that anxiety attached to that just because their ancestors had dealt with that. So, and yes, there is the past life thing too, which, I mean, again, that may be a little far-fetched, so we can kind of leave it out if we want to, even though I think it's there. But even if we go down the rest of it, there's studies and research that show that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
So, when you are dealing with people right now, you have your new facility, which is awesome. And I know it's up and running. So when you're dealing with clients, let's talk about how you would typically take a client in and how you kind of get started on the program you're going to design for them.
So, so you're saying program as in personal training to do workout programs, or a program in general, like just anything. As client comes in? Okay. Well, basically what I do is, and I think you do this as well, is muscle testing, simply because we know that, or it's known that muscles are related with the organs, like we mentioned. So specific muscles that I test can relate to how the energy of the organs are going to react. So if the energy of the organ is deficient, then I'll say the words reprogram the energy of that meridian through specific neurovascular points or lymphatic points. So these are just acupressure points to help reboot the specific condition that needs to be addressed. Then from there, I again, with the muscle testing, I test the digestive tract. Specific points can lead me to what's going on with the enzymes of the gallbladder, the pancreas, the stomach. And then from there, it's what dosages do we need to help with that, to help with the specific enzyme or the digestive issues. And from there, I mean, I also do some neurotherapy. So neurotherapy is a bit of a little more advanced, where we're looking at the nervous system. We're trying to help correct the posture at the same time, which is linked, the eyes and the feet that are linked with the posture, were linked with the brain. And I know you did your Posture Pro also. So we try and take it a little further. So it's not just your eyes, it's not just your feet, but it's also our vestibular system, which is our inner ear fluid or our balance system. So if a client has like a bad back, it could also be due to how the head tilt can be positioned, and then from there, you give certain exercises. And again, I work again with the emotions, the chakras. So really, all this is dealt with muscle testing, interacting with the body, interacting with what the responses of the client's body is telling me, and then from there, if they need a diet, I try and keep it as simple as possible. That's just my opinion. I try and just keep it as paleo as possible, but as simple as possible, so that the client is actually going to follow a diet without overeating as well. And then if they need the supplements, then I just suggest which ones they did within the test that we did.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think we do, very similar. Again, I think everything is so individualized, and it's important, I think, to make sure people understand that. And yes, don't make a diet harder than what it has. Stop starving people, first of all.
I can't stand that.
Oh my God, it's awful. It's awful.
Guys, that's a misconception. Don't starve yourself, because then you'll get fat.
Yeah, right. And stop eating just chicken and broccoli. Jesus,
Yeah.
please stop. As a matter of fact, don't even touch chicken again for the rest of your life. I'm glad you brought up the nervous system. I think that's really cool. I know one of the big things for me learning about the organs and the tissue and everything was how many receptors there are to those guys. And the other cool thing I thought, when I work on people and I release certain things and I get it moved, especially inside, it's like, okay, this is going to get better over the next so many hours. By day 3, you're going to feel amazing. And I think it's pretty cool to understand or to think about how sensitive and how highly compact, I guess, the nerves are around the organs, but how slow they are.
Yeah.
How long it takes for the body to get into that. And again, that goes into, it's going to show up in muscles first. So if it is showing up in the actual organ, you're probably already down a path of recovery that's going to take a little bit longer time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I think that's a lot of info for people. And I'm excited to kind of get you back on here and start digging into some more stuff.
No problem.
Yeah, as well as coming up to your facility. So yeah, talk about your facility real quick. Where is it at? Name of it, all that good stuff.
So it's called Centre Santé Cabalas, so in English, Cabalas Health Center. Obviously, we need the French name over here. So we're in Montreal, St. Leonard. You could always look us up on Instagram, Facebook, Centre Cabalas. Like I said before, I try to put everything under one roof. I think I'm doing a good job for that. We got yoga, meditation, Zumba, Kangoo, Pilates. Try and get some health seminars as well, some courses we put together. Then we have the osteopath, the masotherapy, hypnotherapy, naturopathy. We put in also a health bistro. Then we have kickboxing classes as well. And there's 2 other aspects that I don't want to say just yet. And I showed you a few aspects, but I'm not going to say or announce what it is yet until the whole grand opening. Which is going to be soon, hopefully.
Stuff under wraps. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's going to be something, like I said, geared to not just athletes, but everybody. And it's something I don't think anybody has really thought of. That's why it makes us a bit different as well.
Oh, I've thought of it, my friend. You're just too far away to collaborate. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess you're going to have to come to Montreal. What?
Yeah. If I could handle the cold, perhaps.
Yeah, it does get cold. That I can't blame you.
Yeah, I don't have enough body fat for that. I'm sorry. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Talk to you again soon. And we'll see what questions come up all this and see what our clients and Facebook friends, Instagram friends decide they want any more info on.
Yeah.
And then let's work on a couple other things together. I think this is
no problem. I know I put a little bit of vague suggestions or vague open-ended comments and open-ended, I say this, categories or subjects that we just spoke about today. But I mean, it's going to give us something at least to talk about in the future, and maybe gear more towards specifics, and it's going to make people understand a little more what we do.
Absolutely. I think it's a good intro to talk about it. Like I said, those who know my halo of people understand all of this. And,
Good.
you know, it's funny, even my older clients will tell newer people coming in, okay, she's a little crazy, but it really works, you know? So I think it's cool to get this conversation going and to also show, you know, I'm not crazy. Like I said, this stuff is out there. It does exist. And, you know, it's just not heard of too much. You know, it's not in practice too much, at least not around here, at least not the way that we piece it together. And the cool thing that I think is cool about what we do is we started with training. You know, when you start as a strength coach, as a trainer, and you get into the body on the other side, it just for some reason is a smooth sail. It like all makes sense. When you take somebody who's more into the bodywork side and try to get them into the training side, it doesn't necessarily work that way. No. So I'm grateful for my journey is starting off as, you know, a personal trainer, a strength coach, corrective exercise, and then all the different body works that I do, all the nutrition that I do, you know, same as you. So, I kind of just wanted to get this talk going and get people to understand and kind of get some verbiage out there as far as what we do, some names to it, especially you, because you're at a little higher caliber than me, just gonna say. So I just think it's great. I think it's great, like I said, to just bring it to surface. But yeah, I think it'll be really cool to start getting on some specific topics for sure, and maybe even talk about some answers for people that are kind of dealing with certain things that they could possibly do, whether or not they contact us or things that they can even do at home. I think it'll be really cool. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that and talk about some things that we see a lot of common denominators in with our clients, and or even, like I said, let people message on here. You know, you guys are more than welcome to give ideas and thoughts on things you guys would like us to discuss about or bring to surface as we go through this whole thing. So,
or even if someone has a question for their own problem, we could always address that as well, briefly.
Absolutely. I think it'd be good. So again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys.
Back to work.
Yeah.
And I will talk to you soon.
Yes.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.